the show. Welcome to our 2025 first episode. I'm Jenna Morton.
And I'm Tosh Taylor. And we thought we'd start things off this year with a bang, huh?
Yes, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a perfect kind of theme for starting the new year, talking about transitions and new horizons.
Big time. We have joining us today a former Minister of Health, which was the last role that you left when you retired from the PCs. We have Bruce Fitch with us today. Bruce, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, Tosh and Jenna. I'm just so excited to be here and be talking to people. And
seeing life after politics.
Life after
Yes,
politics, yes. I've stopped sending myself texts just to make sure my phone works, but it still does. And as a recovering politician, I always have to, let's acknowledge what's going on in the world. So shout out to the firefighters and first responders down in California and LA. My gosh, just unbelievable what's gone on there.
Yeah, it is.
My cousin is right in the thick of it. She's had to leave her house and has now been able to go back, and it's just been the updates and the outpouring and what it takes in a community to support each other is just, it's so heartwarming in so many ways to watch and see how similar we all are, whether you live in Hollywood or you live in Riverview. You rely on the same kinds of people and the same kind of community to step up when something happens.
Yeah, and I've appreciated the support over the years from Riverview in my political career, and again, the people that serve the community, such as firefighters and police and RCMP, and it just goes on from there. And of course, every time you start mentioning one group, there's another group.
Exactly.
Why didn't he say that? But I don't have to worry about that as much. Not that I'm out to offend people. Yeah. Sometimes that just comes naturally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's incredible what's going on. One thing it has done, I've switched my NFL hopes and picks to LA Rams because now I want them to win.
Yeah,
the Super
absolutely.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes. I found myself rooting for them the other day, a little over the top, and they won. So I'm so excited about that. And you see now, as being out of politics, you have time to watch TV.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't gotten to the end of Netflix yet. But you have to leave something for tomorrow.
You do, you do. So let's go back to talking about serving your community, because that is where you started. Your history in politics stems all the way back from you being on Riverview Town Council. When did that start?
That started when I was 28, so
Wow.
Let's do the math on that. Basically 35 years ago.
Okay.
And I was involved in the community. I was doing financial planning for people, and just had that natural, let's get involved in the community. And my former manager at the time, Regis McFadden, who's passed away now, he said, I told you to get involved in the community. I didn't tell you to take it over. But just as you get involved in politics and you see some of the decisions that can really affect the outcome in the community in a positive or negative way, you say, well, you want to keep going, and then eventually that led to being mayor, and I was mayor for 5 years, which again was a great experience. And I've encouraged people to get involved in politics, especially in the local municipal politics. And it's unfortunate that there's a bit of I don't know if I want to call it apathy or resistance, because so many of the municipal elections now have posts that are acclamation, and nobody offers for those. And it's tough because the electorate now is very demanding, and their expectations of the politicians are going to solve all my problems. That might be a little higher than the deliverable. And so those demands are there, and with the social media and the access to politicians that the population has now, which is good because you can communicate in a very quick and effective way, but sometimes misinformation can get out and halfway around the world before the real story can get its legs under it.
Touching on that, something that I wanted to talk to you about today when I knew you were coming in is, given all your time in politics and given what the world is like right now, what do you wish people knew more about the life of a politician? I think a lot of people have a lot of opinions and preconceptions, and I'm wondering, now that you are safely kind of out of the official role, what do you really wish people understood about the life of a politician and the person who is there in that role?
That's a great question, because again, I think there's an expectation that the politicians are going to be 100% right 100% of the time, and that they'll be able to solve 100% of the problems 100% of the time, and that they're demigod that can change the world and change everybody's problems that maybe are self-imposed or self-inflicted in an instant. So the other part is that they are human, they have a family, and that there's a person that eats, lives, breathes, bleeds the same kind of blood color as everybody else. So there's that human aspect, and I must say that's been one of the issues that, if I look back, there's been a couple of times where people haven't been as pleasant or as they should be. And there's been some stories when I was in social development that I could go into, but I know we only have 23 minutes here, and we want to keep the thing positive. Mm-hmm. But those effects to the family, you just don't sometimes know exactly how your spouse and your children are affected. So I guess if I had something to say to the electorate, be patient, be courteous, again, have a conversation. Don't have an argument and in your face. And sometimes with social media, it's easy to be very
keyboard warrior. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's my 2 cents from that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of, you are married, you were raising children during all of this. What does it take to be the spouse of a politician, do you think? And that's probably a better question for Nancy. Yes. Yeah. What speaks for the type of person that she is as well, right?
Yeah, and Nancy's been with me right through the whole 35 years. I mean, we've been married for 40 now, but when we were dating and going out, there was no, hey, I'm going to become the minister of whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
and you're going to have to take phone calls. But and it's interesting how it used to be the people would call the house and you'd have that conversation. I mean, now it's just emails or texts or Facebook or Messenger. But I do remember her saying once, "You'll have to talk to my husband about that. You'll have to talk to my husband about that." But without that support, her support, and the extended family, like her family, my family, friends, and in-laws, outlaws, it just, the career, you wouldn't be able to do it. So again, my shout out to all those folks I mentioned, and those that I didn't mention in case I get offended. But that support has been fantastic. And even the people that were in opposition to me have been very, very respectful. I mean, again, other than those items that I mentioned of people that I didn't know that were dealing with some other things, but you can still be friends, and you can still have a good relationship with people that ran against you, or teams that were working against you. And so it's been a great community, it's been a great riding, and I've really appreciated that.
When it came to deciding you were finished with that aspect of public life, talk a little bit about kind of the challenges and the conversations you had with yourself, with your family, about it's time for something else.
Yeah. And again, that's a good one that could take a long time to unfold. But if you don't have that fire in your belly and the desire in your heart to say, I'm gonna serve in this capacity, and after 21 years, 6 elections, there's a time when you say, okay, it's time for someone else. Let's let somebody else do that. And some of my former MLA friends tell me that there's life after politics. And I mentioned there was a speech I heard McKenna give 30 years ago after he just got out of politics, said, "Hi, I'm Frank, I'm a recovering politician." So hi, I'm Bruce, I'm a recovering politician. But I'm going to be 66 tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Quick shout out, I'm doing a fundraiser for the Harvest House here in Greater Moncton. I mean, they serve a broader community, but that's some of the areas where I think I can help people, is say, okay, let's use some of my contacts or experience or influence to help some of those groups that are doing a great work within the community. And that area, helping people to deal with mental health addictions, it was so evident in the ministries that I had the last 4 years, well, even before that, but it's really ramped up something incredible. So we helped them when we were there, and there's so many. I mean, I think of Atlantic Wellness as well, and the stuff that they're doing. So anyways, this is what I'm doing for my birthday.
Okay. And your retirement.
Yes, that's just the start. And that was something that, again, came up, and I said, well, I'm sure people would love to buy me a cleansing ale. So why don't I say, well, instead of doing that, give the $10 to Harvest House.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mark Bellevaux is doing a great job down there.
Fantastic. Yeah, we've had him on the program before. He's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you did decide to say, okay, I'm not running in the next election that's coming up, was that decision made because it was time to travel? It was time to be less stressed? It was like, what was the deciding factor? The fact that you were turning 66, or is it?
Well, I think there's as a politician, they're kind of like diapers. They need to be changed every now and again. And so I mean, I still had good support in the community. I still had some things that possibly could come up or that I was thinking of doing. But it was just to the point where, okay, it's been 21 years. I don't want to stay there forever and ever. And at 66, every day is a blessing that we have, and you have to make the most of that. But staying another 4 years, that would have put, now, and I know some of my friends who ran again who were older than me, or chronologically gifted more than I am. I mean, they were saying, why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? Because we had a number of 70-year-olds that, and nothing, Bill, who was the Speaker of the House, was 76. And I mean, Greg 70, Greg Turner, Ted Fleming. They're in their 70s, and they were going to run again, and they were they were gung ho about it. And I was just saying, you know what? I've had a great run. It's been good. The people have been, so good. Time to do something else.
Yeah. So you did travel.
We did. Yeah. Yes, we kind of. It was one of my friends recommended. Why don't you just walk out and go travel? So
rip off the Band-Aid.
Yes, exactly. So we went to London and Italy for just under a month, and really enjoyed that, and then came back, and it's kind of like, okay, as now every day's like Saturday, except I don't have to go to the pancake breakfasts. Well, Sunday's not.
Those
like
are
Saturday.
only on Saturdays.
Which has been great, and I mean, again, but trying to make sure that retirement is something, and I've talked to a number of friends that have retired, and some just thrive in it, and others are challenged because they've been so driven and have such an agenda in front of them all the time. So a couple of books that I read, part as Minister of Health back in the last year or so, were Outlive, which is really longevity, how to make sure that in your retirement you stay active, you take care of your health, your mental health and wellness, and that was written by Dr. Peter Attica. And another one very, very similar was Keep Sharp by Dr. Sergey Gupta. And again, just in retirement, you need to be busy. You need to, the old saying, you want to wear out, not rust out. And the sitting and just not being active is what's affected a lot of folks. So one of the things of not having to run to Fredericton a couple times a week is you can get to the gym on a regular basis, or you can do your walking on a regular basis, and you don't miss. And again, I found a real good system in that, and I've hooked up with a couple of groups that do the simulated golfing.
Of course, yes.
Yes, over in Riverview, the Cadet Brothers, and there's a group there, and there's another group from the Moncton Golf and Country Club that occasionally go to. So things like that keep you active and keep you doing things. And I bought Nancy a pickleball racket. for Christmas.
Here we go.
Yeah, and there's
Lots of opportunities for that
there
these
is.
days.
Oh, I know, and I've had my brother-in-law is right into it, and another buddy said, "Look, if ever you want to try it, come on out," because they're doing some of them are doing full-time pickleball as their retirement, but it keeps them active, keeps them social, keeps them doing, and it's mental because you have to keep the score.
Yeah.
Who's that? Oh no, I'm winning. I'm sure I am.
It's funny though, listening to you talk about that. There's so many parallels with things like entering parenthood, transitioning jobs, whether or not it's retirement that you're transitioning from, that when you've had such an identity and you're going to move into another stage, there really is that challenge of finding what is it that's going to keep you active in this part? What is it that's going to keep you engaged? And I think it's really valuable for anyone who's going through any kind of transition period to take what you're saying to heart and to have those mechanisms to get out into the community and to make connections and to keep having those things that keep you happy.
Yeah, Jenna, you're absolutely right. And sometimes the old saying, if things are going easy, it must be going downhill. Or am I in a groove or am I in a rut? But that pushing yourself to say, okay, let's not get complacent here. Let's not just take the easy way and let's get out, let's be doing things. And you're right, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new career, whether it's a new, like you say, a change in lifestyle.
Leaving career to stay home with your kids. I know that one, your line about being a recovering politician hits very close to home because it took me a very, very long time to stop reflecting and introducing myself based on my job from a decade before. It was almost a decade before I could stop saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, too many times we identify ourselves or our net worth or our worth to the community as our position. So not being a minister, you're kind of going, oh, it's just Bruce.
Yeah, I'm just Bruce.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I feel like for the first time since I've known you that I can just freely call you Bruce and not get in trouble for it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because sometimes it's almost like a nickname. And talking about these golf things, they call me the Rev. And they go, well, you've been minister of everything, so we'll call you the Rev.
Call you the Rev. I like that. Write that down.
Yeah.
Well, my mother, God bless her soul, she always prayed. She was a very religious person, and she prayed for a doctor and a minister as her two sons. Well, she got the doctor. That one worked out. I guess she wasn't specific enough on the minister thing. And I said minister, but not that minister.
Yeah. That's actually something I've been meaning to ask you with your brother being a retired doctor. What did he think when you became the Minister of Health?
Well, he had retired at that point in time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we had a short conversation about we're short on doctors. Do you want to come back? Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah, he's happy. Like, he has a winery now, right? I think he's good
Actually,
to go.
He sold it.
He
Did
just
they?
sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good to know.
It is, and
Yeah.
they've changed it to Crow and Vine. New
Okay.
name,
Oh,
Crow
I've
and
heard
Vine.
Crow and Vine. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they're in the same spot, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lovely spot.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of the thing I look at 65. I've got 3 siblings, and they're all still doing stuff, and they're still active, and a lot of the friends are still active. Now, some are active doing sports or activities such as pickleball or golf or things like that, but others are still working. So, again, it's trying to find that balance of where's my not safe spot, but where am I satisfied that I am contributing and not at loose ends? Because I've had some folks that are retired that are going, well, it's just not for me. So it is always a challenge, whether you're a young person changing career or trying to cope with raising a family and doing those sort of things. And again, it's a challenge. So as a former politician, again, that's where I look. If I can use some of my expertise or service to help some folks, then great. I went to the woodworking thing and I built a wine rack, and that's not going to work. That's not the path. I was going to bring one and give you guys as a gift, but Nancy said no.
We're going to leave that here.
Yeah,
It's good to have things that are just hobbies that you just do for the enjoyment of doing it, and you don't feel like you need to turn it into a job, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it looked like it was made by a org from Middle Earth or something. I don't know. It was just all askew.
It's what do they call that? Abstract. It's abstract.
Oh,
There you go.
maybe.
Tell Nancy it's abstract.
Yeah.
But you are still working as well. Like you said, you've got all of this behind you that you can help people coming up. So you've been doing some consulting.
That's correct. I haven't incorporated yet, but I've offered my services to a couple of companies that if they can use the services of a former health minister or former social development minister. Some companies even just, how does government work? I mean, that whole governance and how to get from A to B and how does government get to a decision and how can I, find some funding. Now, I do have a 1-year blackout for New Brunswick government, but again, you can still give people advice and give them ideas on how to move forward. So I've actually contracted with a couple of companies, which is exciting, and I'm pleased to be able to do that. But you can kind of do it on your own terms, and as people again that you work with that you like, and it's I don't want to go back full time, but this is a good way to keep your again mind sharp. Use those services or expertise and experience that you've had, and contribute in that way.
For someone who's listening or watching right now who's maybe struggling with that, is it time for me to make a change, whether it's retirement or changing into a new path? Were there any particular kind of questions you asked yourself, or maybe books that you read that you think might help someone else that's struggling with that?
Look, there are so many motivating books that are out there to give you guidance. And it was interesting talking about football again. The individual that was caught on the sideline reading Inner Excellence, about how you as an individual, so much is just the inner talk and how you do. So I'm going to recommend Inner Excellence and get a copy. Apparently, it was #1 on Amazon after
seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, now it's going to zoom right back up there.
Yeah, we got this. All across New Brunswick, sales
Yeah.
just
There you go.
flourish.
Yeah. But again, in reaching out to some of your networks or senior person, and I've always said that, it goes back to Dave Richardson, God rest his soul, he's passed away just recently, former mayor of Riverview, and I was a new councillor, and there was a decision to be made, and it came down to Dave making the decision, and it was whether to build or not to build. He looked at the town manager and he said, call the backhoe. So part of that whole thing about you can't steer a ship that's not moving forward. So moving forward, you can steer that ship. And I think that's sort of been my background of when in doubt, call the backhoe.
I like that. I like how that stuck. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago.
I think that's a great spot for us to leave it for today, but thank you so much for coming in and chatting. I know we could do this for hours, I'm sure.
Well, it's been great.
Yeah.
Great to see you again, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you again for your time and for all of your years of service to our province.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening and watching, and remember that we are back here every week with a brand new episode for you, so we'll see you then.